why are women doing this, and how can they be inspired to do this even more? So the first of all, the biggest statistics is that you can see that women enterprise, women entrepreneurs account for 1/3 of all businesses operating in the formal economy worldwide. So women entrepreneurs and women businesses are a big force in every economy in every part of the world. And some people are not, I usually come to a presentation like this and ask, well, what do you think the percentage is, accounts for women business? Are you all surprised by this number, or is this something that you have expected? When I was doing my work, I didn't expect that at all. However, and this is, you see, the numbers speak by themselves. More than 126 million women entrepreneurs were starting or running their new business in 67 economies in 2012. If you can just press that on. However, there's always some issues with women entrepreneurs. The majority of women entrepreneurs in developing or and transition economies are very small and micro enterprises with little potential for growth. And they are underrepresented in all enterprises in all sizes. So the issue here is really, how do we engage women? And because sometimes this might be the only source and the only way for them to make a living is if they do open their own businesses. So the bigger the firm, the less likely it is to be headed by a woman, and there are significant roadblocks for women as compared to men. You can go to the next one. So who are we, the women that are starting our own businesses and actually want to pursue this kind of a career? Women start their businesses as second or third profession. If you look at yourself, I don't know, are there any women entrepreneurs in here? You are all, basically all of you. And is this your first career? Probably after you've worked. So that's very, very common. With men, a lot of times we talk about the big business idea and the innovation right away when they're in their 20s, or when they're not even pre-college, when they're in the high school, they're already thinking of opening these big businesses and wanting to do the shortcut. For women, it's really a lot more paced and more traditional. We do it. Many hold higher education degrees, so only after you get your education, you feel more comfortable and you feel like you have something to offer. You then try and embark on a new career. Due to the previous career, women entrepreneurs enter the business world later in their life, around 40 to 60 years old. And many of them has experienced a considerable amount of dissatisfaction with their prior careers. So it means that it's not only because I have this great business idea and I want to change the world, it really comes because I'm not so satisfied with it. It's my work and the balancing of life, which will go all through all this. But it's important, I think, for us as women to understand what our motivations are and where we come from, and then being able to challenge that and not feel again that we're imprisoned in our own limitations. So as business owners, these unhappy individuals, us women, are now more satisfied and content with their personal and professional life once we start to embark on that. You can continue with the next slide. So the unique characteristics of women, of who are we? What I found is, first of all, we're passionate for our work. Once we decide that we were unhappy going to work in our corporate world or whatever company, whatever we were doing, now we have a passion for what we do. And the biggest one that I've seen is desire to be our own boss. Is that something that you share, that you want to be your own boss? You've had enough. I see everybody's nodding, so it means that this really hit home. And you're able to properly balance, trying to balance, and I think this is the biggest challenge, is balancing work and life together. Once you have your own business, it's much easier for yourself to set your own hours, set your businesses, how you want to expand, and at what pace. We talked about the multitask, disability of women. That has been talked, for ages now, the goal-oriented approach. But if you look at the last one, the philanthropic commitment to society, I don't think that aspect has been much emphasized when you talk about the male entrepreneurship. I'm sorry that I wasn't aware that the microphone is not working. So the philanthropic commitment is something very unique to women. Is that something that you identify with, that you have noticed? I think once we notice that, and if we can even just enhance that and support that, I think we're giving our own uniqueness into the entrepreneurship world business. So this is the unique characteristics. But what about, if you understand, when we talk about the motivations, we already touched on that, but just so that it's a little bit more clear. We want to be our own bosses. Initially, we're dissatisfied or less happy with where we're going, where our career is going. We need to balance the life. We have, I'm sorry, it's almost not the same. But as we say, that women were nearly 5 times more likely to mention family reasons for becoming self-employed than men. For men, I think it's obvious that they can travel, they can do whatever is needed to be done to actually make the business work. And for women, that's something that was not obvious, was not taken for granted. A fifth of females chose to work as self-employed to help combine the family commitment. And that, again, supporting this point that we need the flexibility, we need our own enterprise to feel that this is ours and we have control over it. So as women that are starting their own enterprises, we still have many more challenges and many more obstacles than men. We already mentioned the financial support that many of the banks. We mentioned yesterday there was a big presentation about the role models. We don't have many women role models, and that's one of the biggest issues. So if any of you feel that this is the time that you have established your businesses or have start coaching, start mentoring, start making networks and going to your communities and spreading the word, because from each of one of these businesses can come the businesses that you listed before and the big companies that started from Bill Gates. He started from his own garage, and eventually, why aren't there more women that can tell these kind of stories, how they started and when they started? So as women entrepreneurs, the big idea is the big innovation. It's not as a clear definition of what is it about when we start our businesses. Is it really the big ideas? Is it really the innovation? Sometimes it's the necessity of life. It's a necessity of life for us that we're tired of not being advanced, that we're tired of the glass ceiling and the cut and pay. And yesterday, I did mention in my other presentation that Gloria Steinem, the big feminist movement, from the movement, she, 25 years later, when she started this in the 70s, she said, well, we as women have become the men we wanted to marry. And yes, and so it's saying that, but in saying that, it's true. We have made the advances. We've become lawyers and doctors and high-tech innovators. However, when we talk about the pay, for that statement to be true, the men would have to get a cut of 22.5% in their pay, because still there is no equal pay. Yesterday, in what country? That in New Zealand, she mentioned that the gap is 11%, but even in the United States, the gap is still 22.5% between the pay. So we still have a long way to go in terms of our advancement of reaching the glass ceiling and feeling that we're entitled and that we have the power. So becoming a woman entrepreneur, of course, you have more control over that, but getting the funding, which is the biggest issue, and having the skills, the management skills, the business skills, and also the courage to go out there and open a business and maybe spread globally is not something that is very common and not something that is obvious for every child or woman, girl that is growing up. So with this, I wish everyone so that you do pursue your innovation and your big business, and you never know, you're here in this conference, you're spreading the word, and you're making this a very forceful economy that is growing and growing. Thank you very much.
Anyone from audience wants to ask questions to speakers regarding the session?
Good morning. I'm Dolly from Bombay. California. I also have my own consulting for small and medium enterprises, SMEs, and I do training and I do entrepreneurship training programs, basically concentrating on marketing and financing of small enterprises. Because these are the two areas where they really need help. They are very creative, they have very good ideas, but funding, even I've been talking to a lot of women over here, and they find that funding is the most important problem. So I would like to ask any of you, what are the ideas that women can bring forth to the table of a financier, where she can evoke more greater confidence in her enterprise? What kind of innovative ideas? Like in India, there are a lot of companies, like what they call startups. But if you see, at least 80% of them are by men who are from IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, IIMs, and because of their background, they, as it is, they qualify themselves for money. They make very good presentations, and they compete. So how do women compete for finance? And what kind of ideas would help them to succeed to get the required finance? First stage finance, second stage. Initially they require from friends and families, they will collect. But at the next stage where they have to scale up, then they require institutional finance.
I'll just remind, the first thing is that in every literature that you see about women entrepreneurs and the issue of the funding and getting that financing is, first of all, to get good advisors. So I think the legwork here of getting good advisors that have the knowledge of how to make a business plan, how to support that, is the first and foremost important thing. And don't just try to jump in and go straight ahead. Do your homework, make it, and sometimes we come there with this attitude, well, yeah, why aren't you giving us, instead of doing the homework and getting your advisors, even if you have to invest in that, that's the best. And also getting a good network of women. The networking is, as I said, it's obvious, but it's not always obvious. Get the good networking, and then you can come in and be much more prepared for that.
Yeah.
Maybe you can, be more specific about the actual financing, but the advising is crucial.
I'll give an example using where I come from. Where I've advised some women to actually collaborate, because sometimes as an individual, the woman might not even be confident to do their own presentation, but within the team of her network, there's someone who has that strength and all that. Yeah, so we have put women together to collaborate over an idea, strengthen their relationship, review their strengths and weaknesses, and then